Okay, so YouTube says I'm live and I'm on time, 8 o'clock. I almost missed it. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. As always, thanks for stopping by and hanging out for a bit. My name is Rich Charpentier, and if you don't already know, this channel covers a lot of drone stuff. So, we're talking flight and photography, modeling, and more. And today I'm going to be catching up. So, I was missing last week. Apologies for that. Was just a little under the weather last week, so I decided not to do the live stream. But normally live streams will take place at 8 a.m. Pacific time, and actually 8 a.m. Pacific time during the summer, and 1 hour difference during the winter, because we here in Arizona don't change our clocks. So when everyone else changes their clocks, we're stubborn and we don't change the clocks. So there you go. So what you're looking at on screen this morning is a still image of me hanging out at a raw land site. So today's topics, we've got two topics. We're going to talk a little bit more about raw land flights with your drones for usually real estate customers. And then we're also going to talk quickly a little bit about search engine optimization. I just finished a new video recently that I've run through my Patreon channel, and it's actually ready to go, but I haven't popped it up here on YouTube yet, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So just taking a look over to see if anyone's popping any notes up yet in the stream, and so far nobody. But when you see me looking over to this side, that just means I'm taking a look to see if anyone's made any comments. And please feel free to comment, ask questions. You can leave comments below, or in the live stream, you can do the live stream chat as well. So, after not feeling so hot at the start of last week, I still had a couple of jobs that needed to get done. It seems like we're averaging one raw land site a week for the past month and change, so we keep getting more inquiries, which is interesting. I'm not sure why people are finding us for the raw land job sites, but they are. And the still image that you're looking at here isn't a still image. This is actually video. So I was just messing around at the end of our job flight. This is actually up in Coconino County. So we were maybe halfway to the Grand Canyon from Prescott, where we turned off onto this extremely dirt road, not well graded in areas. It was a real challenge driving down. I wouldn't want to take a regular car down into this place, that's for sure. So over the past few weeks, we've been talking about raw land job sites and doing work for realtors and for property owners. I'm just pulling up the second one here. Very similar setup to the first. But so we've been talking about doing these raw land sites, which you'd think, hey, that's easy. Just fly around this empty property. But the way we set it up, we actually mark out the corners and boundaries for where we can and can't fly, and we make sure that we're imaging into the property areas. So this particular property has already been bought. A real estate investor, will say, actually purchased this one sight unseen, so they do a lot of buying and selling of properties remote. So they oftentimes not only need to get someone in for some imaging for sale of the property, sometimes this is their actual first view of the property ever. So buying these things sight unseen, I thought that was pretty crazy. But, in talking to this particular investor, they've got a plan. So, and then there we go. By the way, the paint job on the Titan's looking terrible. Welcome to Arizona. That's what happens to paint out here. And especially on Nissans and Nissan Titans. I see trucks all the time with the same paint issues as mine. So I just was doing this filming, not for the client. I just wanted to give a little feel of the area that I was working in. So we pulled off near the client's property. I had already pre-planned some of the flight work using Ground Station Pro so that I could block out my flights. Now, in one of our previous streams, we talked about planning raw land sites for drone jobs. So I'll make sure to put a drop down in this. The drop down probably won't pop up till tomorrow because it usually takes 24 hours for YouTube to process these live streams. So when I'm done with them, I can't put the end cards up or the other info cards. So tomorrow I'll make sure that there's a link to the video on how I set up this particular flight with Ground Station Pro. So we'll make sure that link's in there, or you can actually find it on my channel. It's just a couple videos back and it's pretty clearly labeled. So you can go at it that way too. But so there we go. We had a look at this property. We had some crazy hills that we were getting into, some really rough patches, some major washouts. Now, if I'd had another car other than the Nissan Titan, I probably would not have taken it into this road. Good morning, CJ. Good to see you. How have you been? All right, so our first person popping up on there. I know there's a couple people on stream right now, so welcome to the channel and thanks for stopping in, everybody. Always remember, if you miss part of these live streams, you can rewatch these videos after. So these were the quick 3 videos from just giving myself an idea where I was. Off in the distance, you can see some of the mountains. You can also see the haze that's been killing us. This was actually one of our better days last week, but we still have a lot of the California fire smoke haze. As a matter of fact, I went out and flew yesterday, and it was pretty dense, actually. So at times here in Prescott, we haven't been able to see the mountains to the north of us. Normally in Prescott, Arizona, we can see the peaks in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is a pretty long ride. I haven't seen the peaks in Flagstaff in quite some time, other than when we drove up to Williams recently for this shoot. So let's talk about this site really quick. Now we're in Lightroom, and we're actually taking a look at, this is a large property that we were flying for the client. And they're thinking about splitting it into 2 parcels. So that's one of the reasons why they wanted the flight. So number 1, we did some standard images from all of the property corners and then also the midpoints along the borders. And then we also flew a flight path for doing a simple ortho mosaic because the new property owner had some questions about what he saw on Google Maps. Specifically, let's zoom in here. So once again, welcome to Arizona. That is, I believe, a Shasta trailer. Now, I'm an Airstream owner, and I lived full-time in an Airstream for over a decade. So I'm big into RVs and travel trailers and things. But what's interesting here in Arizona and a lot of the Southwest, there are plenty of places to go camping off-grid. So a lot of RVers will pull into Bureau of Land Management land or Forest Service land, and they will just camp out unplugged, no water hookup or anything. And we've done it a lot at several major Bureau of Land Management areas called long-term visitor areas. It's a lot of fun. But this property owner said, when he was looking at the satellite imagery, that it looked like 2 structures were on his property, so he wanted to know more about those. And I explained to him how people will just go pull off into the woods. If you don't have a no trespassing sign, guess what? Somebody might be camping on your property. And in the case of his property, almost at the center point of the southern border of the property, here we go. We have an abandoned Shasta. I think it's abandoned. We did not go up and investigate it, nor would I advise going up and investigating abandoned cabins or abandoned RVs, because you never know what's in them. I'm not kidding. I used to do a lot of ghost town photography when I first moved out here, and I accidentally walked into a rundown building that had some illegal activity going on in it. Fortunately, I was the only person there at the time. Never returned to that one, but I don't approach abandoned vehicles or anything at this point. So yes, he has his very own Shasta that looks like it's unused. And let's take a continuation through this. I had actually done an extra zoom in on it for him because he was asking specifically. And then he was also asking for advice on, hey, how could I get rid of this? So continuing along, we actually moved the drone further to the west. Off in the distance, you can actually see the truck, the Nissan Titan. Jody's right out there spotting right now. She was actually moving west, and the truck's sitting out there. And here's a different view of that Shasta trailer that this property owner has inherited. So we spent a little over an hour on location. It was a 2-hour drive up and a 2-hour drive back. We got the images into the client's hands, as well as an ortho mosaic so that he could get a look at the other items that were left on his property. Because in addition to that Shasta trailer off in the distance here, there's an abandoned truck camper right here as well. And there's actually, the back door is wide open. I don't think it's in use at all. So sometimes doing these raw land sites is a little strange. If you run into locations like this, you need to be aware of your surroundings. You also need to let people know where you're going. So we had let friends and family know whenever I go out, to some kind of strange remote shoot in the middle of nowhere, I let people know so that if they don't hear from me, they'll know where to start looking for me. So all kidding aside, we're in the middle of nowhere here. So we were from the town of Williams, Arizona. We were traveling north toward the Grand Canyon. I'd say like 1/3 of the way toward the Grand Canyon, you get off on this dirt road and you start driving through all these strange encampments, because the travel into this location went past a lot of other private hunting camps or private property. So we saw broken down RVs. We saw a really nice fifth wheel with a giant solar setup, so clearly an active camp, probably a weekend getaway. And so this is actually from the eastern border of the property. We're still within the property bounds. Like I said, go back and check out our planning for raw land imaging. That was just a couple of videos back, and we'll talk you through that whole setup for this particular flight. Once again, a zoom in here. So this is where I had said to you that the truck camper, the back door was wide open, and it was, so exposed to the elements. Right over here, that's where the Nissan Titan is. And we do take the truck out of these images. By the way, behind the truck, you see a fifth wheel out here. That's somebody else's property and their fun little camp as well. So you never know what you're going to see out in these things. And like I was starting to say before, we let the landowner know about this because this is not an uncommon thing to see. Even in the Prescott area, if you go out into some of the Forest Service areas, you will find people camped on the west side of Granite Mountain. They're completely legal. They're on Forest Service land. But there's a mix of Forest Service land, BLM land, and private land. So sometimes these campers get it wrong and they land on your property. So, all right, let's go ahead and arrow through this a little more. So as I was saying, we were definitely going through this whole site for the client. We also did a couple of 360s. We did a 360-degree pano from the center of the property, from the center of the western side of the property and the center of the eastern side of the property, since this landowner was interested in subdividing this right down the middle. So we made sure to give him some views just for those specific areas. Now, in the case of this particular client job, there's not a ton of work behind doing these raw land sites. You got to do a little bit of that pre-planning before you head out to a site, which is what we'll show you next. But we had 4 hours of driving, so we did charge the client for mileage. So a substantial part of his payment to us was actually for our drive out. And this is one of the things that I'm going to be emphasizing a lot in my new series on building your drone business that I'm building over at teachable.com. You need to make sure that you're valuing everything, every part of the job. If you say to someone, yeah, blanket, I will do X amount of acres for you for, $200 or whatever it is that you feel is reasonable. If you're forgetting about extreme drive times, wear and tear on the vehicle, insurance on the vehicle, your workman comp insurance, all those things factor in. So this was an expensive flight for the client, but he was not able to find anyone else who was even willing to go up to the location. Now, we did delay on this location for him by several weeks because of all the smoke haze in the sky. We had very brown and drab days, and this particular landowner wanted to get things going, but I wanted to give him the best product we could. So we did push it out by a couple of weeks. And let's arrow back on through this. So some more views. Like I said, the property that he has is massive. And one of the other things that we did that I think I've shown in another video, but I'm just going to go ahead and highlight these images. By the way, this is Lightroom. For those of you unfamiliar with Lightroom, I use Lightroom extensively for tracking and cataloging all the types of photography that I'm doing, whether it's drone work for my clients or whether it's fun work for myself. So I just highlighted a bunch of these because one of the things, and I might have mentioned this in a previous live stream, if I did, I apologize, but it doesn't hurt too much because other people stumble on this channel. So what we're looking up now, I went ahead and highlighted these, and let's just go ahead and zoom out. So this is Lightroom. I import my images to Lightroom after we're done with the flight and we get back to the office. And I've got a whole new 1 hour long video series on that I haven't published yet, but I've actually uploaded it over to Teachable. So I'll tell you about that in a few minutes because we actually go through this whole project. But what you're looking at here are the locations where we chose to do some of our still images, and we actually associated these locations with specific names for each of the shots so that the landowner, when he's posting on MLS, will know, hey, this was shot from the southeast corner looking to the northwest corner, so you can get an idea of where everything is going on. So this is just a point of reference for the client, but isn't this awesome? Our drones are GPS enabled, so the drones record the locations that we're shooting from, and then we can actually pass this along to the property owner to say, here specifically is where the shots were taken. Each of these corners, we got the GPS locations of the corners from the Coconino County tax parcel maps. So, and we did a little bit on that in a recent live stream as well. So if you take a look back at our planning for these raw land, you'll find where we went through and did these setups. So each of these corners is closely associated with the GPS locations of the corners. We're not land survey engineers, so we can't speak to the accuracy of that. So only land survey engineers can tell you the precise corners, those precise postings. But we can let our clients know at least approximately this is where the images were taken from. So we also let the owner know we started in the southwest corner, moved up to the northwest, over to the northeast, and back down to the southeast. So they can follow all of their images right through to see where those images were shot. So kind of convenient for the customers. By the way, if I'm looking around in all sorts of strange areas, I used to have the camera over here. I'm adjusting to having it over here now. So sorry about me strangely looking all over the room. Okay, let's go back to the library real quick, and I'm going to just deselect all of those because after doing that flight last week in Coconino County, the same property owner had purchased another property much closer to home for us in Dewey, Arizona. So yesterday we were out early in the morning. So this was just a setup shot. This isn't an edited one. We still have some things to send along to the client because I just offloaded all of this yesterday. So I made sure to leave us in these images as reference points for ourselves. And this pole over here is actually one of the official corners. So we just parked ourselves out here. So Dewey, Arizona is, the next town over from Prescott Valley here. So a short ride over. I actually took a ride out on Saturday just to give myself an idea of the location. I didn't even bring the drone with me because we started getting some pretty strong winds, which is a normal thing in the high desert. That's something you have to plan around here when you're doing drone work. Sorry, just taking a look over to make sure I'm not missing anybody saying hello or asking any questions. So, like I said, Saturday morning I went out, I took a look at this property. Very interesting drive-in, some steep ups and downs, some major washouts. So even though this is located really close to Prescott Valley and Prescott, that are these booming, bustling areas, the Dewey area and the Mayer area offer a lot of raw land sites. So I've actually flown over in this area for several other clients over the past 2 years as well. So it's always interesting to take another ride out and see other building sites. This particular property has got some really steep drop-offs. That was one of the things that the client was interested in. And this is where we actually started taking some of our images for them. Once again, I'm going to hit the G key to get back to my grid view, because what I'm going to do here is just show you some of these images. I think I'll go down to here. And let's go back into that map again. So once again, in that mapped area, we're showing off the locations where we were shooting from, and each of the images, once again, is labeled. So all this stuff gets wrapped up into a final package. I put it into Dropbox for the client. We send them the Dropbox links. Usually I send them some instructions along. And if it warrants it, sometimes I will make a private web page for these clients to show slideshows, 360s, video, and more. So yeah, this is only a 2-point-something acre property, so not one of the biggest properties we've done. And the client had no problems with the price for that whatsoever. Also, just as a point of interest, not as any official references or anything, I did one more thing for this client yesterday, just to give them an idea, because they were concerned about buildable areas on the property, because they're going to be reselling this. So once again, these are not official corners. You'll notice that I do not have the GPS coordinates up on here, but I did use the GPS coordinates from the Yavapai County tax parcel maps to get myself the corners. Once again, when we're doing these flights, normally I'm shooting into the areas so that the property owners, when they're setting up the sales pages, can show people what the lay of the land looks like. One of the other things that we don't do, we never draw property boundaries or borders. We've had a lot of people ask us to do that. That's something that I'm not running the risk of doing for my business. Good morning, Supersonic. How are you doing today? Good to see you. So anyways, I never put down these property boundaries. The boundaries should be set by certified and licensed land survey engineers, which I'm not. We can give these images to our clients to give them a feel for the overall property and the lay of the land, but in the end, they still need a land survey engineer. But so I did do this digital elevation model for the client because the person who he had purchased this property from was suggesting that probably the best buildable area would be in the southeast corner area. All right, there we go. Glad you're doing good, Supersonic. Good to see you this morning. So just another person popping up over on the chat window there. So anyways, this is a point of reference for the client. This is not something that they should be putting up on MLS or anything, but it does give them the lay of the land. And they do have a dirt road through here, so my thinking as well was probably if you're going to be building around here, it's going to be in this area. You can see where the steep drop-offs occur and where washes are going to be if monsoon season ever starts up again. All right, let me close that one down. We'll quit preview and we'll jump back down to Lightroom. So once again, this flight was done just yesterday. We've already started post-processing the images, but not all the images are finished yet. So the client will still be looking forward to some more things. By the way, the additional haze in the sky, we had some pretty thick smoke haze yesterday. Once again, looking from our place to the north, several of the mountains that we usually see in the distance were not visible. So this was a more challenging flight from the point of having that smoke haze in the sky. Makes it a little difficult for us to get better quality content for the landowners. But I had let this property owner know that we were going to be dealing with more smoke again as it had rolled in Saturday afternoon. So just airing through a couple of these. By the way, over on the right-hand side, when we're working with Lightroom, I actually put the title. So this is the Middle Eastern border looking to the south border. So this is in the middle point of that eastern border. Once again, I did leave us in some of these images as a point of reference for myself afterward when we're looking back at the images. But in the end, when we're done with these, most of these will have us brushed out of those because we're just teeny little people here. And you got to keep in mind also, usually people aren't blowing up MLS, so if they're looking at a property listing, they're probably looking at it on a small sized image on a real estate website or on the MLS website. All right, so let's close this one out. There we go. So this gives you the idea. In the past 4 weeks, we've done 4 different raw land properties. So we're getting more contacts on that. We've done some pretty low-end ones, reasonably priced properties. And then one of our recent ones is a very high-end property that you've seen on here before, but let's just take a look at some of the views. So this was from several weeks ago. This is a piece of land that's nearly at the height of land with some good views over to Watson Lake. And then if we were to turn to the west, we'd also see Willow Lake. Now, this piece of property, its listing at the moment is $2.5 million. And there's a good reason for that. It's the location is everything. It's right next to Prescott Lakes and the golf course. And, at height of land, somebody's going to get some awesome views. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close Lightroom Classic down. And we're going to shift gears, something else that I've been working on. So I've been working on several new projects, by the way, everybody. So it's not just one thing or another. We have been working on several items. So recently, this is my own commercial plug. It won't last long. So recently, I've started rebuilding some of my classes over on teachable.com. It's going to be the new platform going forward where I'm going to be sharing most of my videos, my video classes, I should say. We're still doing stuff on YouTube. We're still doing stuff on the Patreon channel, so you're going to see videos there as well. So you don't have to sign up over at AZ Drone at all. But I wanted to give you a quick look. So recently launched new one that we've never seen anywhere else is my Beginner's Guide to Map Pilot for Drone 2D and 3D Modeling. And then you've probably seen some of these other classes are construction progression jobs, Ground Station Pro, Litchi. And then one of the things that I really like about Teachable and why I'm moving some of my classes over there. And by the way, Udemy students, you're not losing out on anything. You still get to keep those videos, no problem. So that doesn't change. But one of the really cool things that you can do with Teachable is you can actually bundle classes. So I've already created a drone construction progression bundle, which includes the, let me see here, the full construction progression job, which is one of my bigger classes, Beginner's Guide to Ground Station Pro, a Beginner's Guide to Litchi, and the Beginner's Guide to Map Pilot. So all 4 of those are in one bundle right here, Construction Progression Bundle. So massively discounted those since you're getting the bundle. And then the next one that I'm putting together, I've actually got most things uploaded, is actually going to be a 2D and 3D modeling class. That's going to be a bundle as well. So the intro to that class is drone 3D modeling for beginners and finding cheaper ways to do this because some of this stuff gets really expensive really fast. So a couple more videos are going to be included with that bundle. We're going to have that drone 3D modeling. We're going to do the drone modeling with Metashape. And then we'll also be including Ground Station Pro and Map Pilot because they're so closely associated with doing these models. So I've actually got several more courses in the hopper that you just don't see here yet, but there's been a lot of production going on in the background. Jumping over to my admin real quick because I think the most ambitious thing that's coming out of this channel and what I've been doing lately is a new class where I start addressing what comes after passing the Part 107 exam. You got your license, you can do commercial work now. Where do you start? What do you need to buy? What do you not need to buy? That's getting built into this new course where I'm starting to pull everything together. I still have more videos to upload. But so we've got an intro section, and actually the raw land stuff that we just talked about is actually going to be featured as part of this class. But the overall class is actually going to give you a high-level view of the different types of jobs that you can fly, the equipment that you're going to need, and how to keep from bankrupting yourself while starting your business up. So this one is not ready to go yet, but it should be ready by November 1st, and I'll keep everybody up to date with that. By the way, just so you know, there are other planned videos for this channel. So what we're looking at now is actually my channel content. I just recently launched the drone, basic drone business case, real estate photography, which a lot of you have already seen. Then the initial video for Past the Part 107. And also there's a video that I've recently done for my patrons, which will be appearing later today on channel, high-level search engine optimization overview for your drone business. Excuse me for one moment. Sorry about that, dry throat. It is super dry here. So as you look at my channel here, you'll notice there's a lot of unlisteds. So a lot of those unlisteds are usually only viewable over at Patreon. I'm also going to be publishing some of these as listed in the very near future. So if you think I've been quiet and not producing a bunch of stuff, guess what? So let me see. What am I doing to get these types of clients? CJ, let me tell you, they're all finding me off of my website. I do post some of the images from all of our different jobs on azdrone.net. And we're also getting referrals from our construction clients as well. But the last 4 of these were all folks coming across the website, giving us a call and making arrangements for us to do the flights for them. So that website is just doing a great job. And in the SEO, so this high-level SEO overview, which I'm going to be releasing later today. So I wanted to give people a chance to check out the live stream first, and then I will be popping this one up today. And this is also going to be part of that bigger course on Teachable. So some of the stuff's going to be popping up on YouTube as teasers and also informational, but a lot of this stuff is going to be appearing in the new class. So I've already got my whole roadmap laid out for it, and it should be a lot of fun. But yeah, CJ, so this is people finding the website. This is people who are leveraging my search engine optimization. You know, so my SEO has been driving people to the site and for these raw land jobs as well as the other real estate and the construction jobs. So I started building this website back at the end of 2017 after getting my Part 107. And then we started doing some videos on YouTube. So the combination of the YouTube videos and the website itself Really great synergy. These things are driving each other, so it's awesome. And I mean, even people who are on channel to learn things here, when you think of some of the information I share, I know that some of you have recommended me to other people, so I really appreciate that. And this is just going to keep building on itself. So as you're building your own web presence, it's not going to be instant and it's not going to be overnight. And I'm going to talk about that in the SEO class. And with that, actually, that leads me into the next thing, the SEO class. I just need to go separate some things. So I did a little copy and paste because yesterday I got an email. And so this is the email I got yesterday. So I copied it out of my email platform just to put it up here. So someone says they emailed me. It was actually back on June 19th, so that's a little while ago. So I sent you an email a few days ago in regards to SEO, SEM, and PPC, and digital marketing services. Please let me know if you're interested to discuss further. This is a junk SEO message. Now, here's what I wanted to say. So if you're building your web presence and you are trying to get that kind of outreach, and draw people into your website for when they're looking for your services, it takes a while to build on. Now, oftentimes when you start building your website, domain registrars will actually give your information out to other people. They've got their own mailing list and things. And when you start up a new website, you'll start getting bombarded with email. Hey, we can help you with SEO. Hey, we can help you with your web building, et cetera, et cetera. This is the type of email I don't trust. And we'll talk more also in that SEO segment. But so second email, I hope you're doing great. Do you want to optimize your website to getting more clients and customers? A little strange grammar there. We will help visitors find you by putting your website first page. This is what I wanted to talk to you about, because if you watch my SEO one later, this will come together for you. But a lot of these companies will call you or email you. When I've set up new websites for clients, they will get calls and email for doing SEO work for you. And we're going to get you on the front page. For what? What are you getting me on the front page for? This is the question you need to ask if you answer that call and you decide that you want to have fun with one of these shady SEO organizations. There are legitimate search engine optimization companies out there that do a fantastic job. And then there are these bogus search engine optimization companies that offer to get you on the front page. And they will get you on the front page. But what you need to ask them is, for what words? What words are you getting me on the front page? If you get me on the front of Google for my name, Rich Charpentier, well, that's not a very big leap, and that doesn't help anyone. People who are looking for my services are looking for drone flights, they're looking for drone imaging, drone real estate work, construction progression work, maybe agriculture work, but those are some of the keywords I want to be on the front page of. Arizona drones. Boy, I want to be on the front page for that, because if someone looks up Arizona drones, I want to be up there on the front page. Prescott drone services, since we're based out of Prescott, that's probably a good one. What happens with some of these fake SEO companies is they will, in fact, get you on the front page of Google for an obscure keyword that nobody is ever searching for. But their argument with you will be, hey, we got you on the front page. So if you're building your own business, if you're building your own drone business and you're building your website from scratch, I really suggest that you do some research and some learning on search engine optimization for your drone business's website. Like I said, we'll be launching a 30-minute video later today, so you can check that one out. And it's an overview of what goes into it. Because you can also use pay-per-click, where you pay Google for everything they send you. So, of course, they're going to get you to the top of the page quick because they want you to spend that advertising money with them. So I just want you to be very aware and cautious when you get these types of emails where someone says, I can get you on the front page of Google. Yes, they can. You need to ask more in-depth questions. Me, as a business owner, I own several different websites. We have RLC Design for the web work we do, AZ Drone for this drone work that we do. We also have one about traveling with the Airstream. And I will get these calls and they will say to me, are you the business owner? I want to get you on the front page of Google for your business. So I own several websites. So I take a pause and I say, which one of my businesses are you offering to get on the front page? Which totally trips them up every single time because they didn't research me at all. And I don't know which website they're getting in touch with me. And honest truth here, I've had several of them kind of do that double take. They stop. They're like, and finally, I find out they don't know what my website address is. So they actually got in touch with me to sell me on services, but they didn't even do the bare minimum of research, because all of my websites tie back to each other. We've got links from one site to the next site. So it's very easy to see the chain of websites that I happen to own. So they call me up and they tell me, we're going to get you on the front page, but they don't even know which business they're calling me about. So when you see emails like this, be very cautious. I've had several Patreon students and other people on channel who've asked me a lot about getting their websites going. So we're going to focus on some of that with upcoming videos for that post part 107 class. You know, post part 107, what do you do afterward? So far I'm having fun making it, by the way, and I hope you guys are enjoying the live streams and the content out of channel. By the way, as always, down below you can leave me comments. So if you've got comments or questions, please leave them. If I can address them, I will. If I can't address them, I'll at least let you know, hey, I don't know anything about that. But yeah, there we go. So watch out for these types of SEO things. There we go. Let's close that text editor and delete that. And once again, so just to let you guys know, there are a bunch of unlisted videos. Some of them will be hitting YouTube in the near future. Some of them are Patreon only. So we do have a Patreon channel. You don't have to be signed up to it to see a lot of this content, but one of the things we do for the patrons is we actually give them access to some of our videos ahead of time. They're actually helping proof through some of these videos and get their questions answered. So as I'm building my new classes on Teachable, I'm getting some great feedback from the patrons and other things that they'd like to see in the videos where I can improve things. So if you'd like to be part of that process where you actually get to have some input on where our classes are going, you might consider popping on over to Patreon and signing up, and we do have a link down in the show notes below as well. So as you can see, I've got a lot more work to do. And also back on the AZ drone at Teachable, we've got more work to do there. So I'll be keeping you guys up to date with all of these things. So finally, let's take a look back on over. Hey, Matt, the high-level SEO video was great, by the way. Matt, thanks for piping in on that. I haven't checked to see who's watching and who hasn't. I already know the folks over on Patreon. A couple of you must have watched it a couple of times because there was more views on it than there was patrons. So I figured someone must have went back. So good. I'm glad that that one worked for you. With that in mind, later today, I'm going to be launching that high-level overview. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it yet or anything, this does not tell you everything about SEO, but it's going to give you the big, broad brush strokes. And then you can start thinking about how you want to approach it. And once again, I'm always open to answering questions. And I know that websites for our businesses are one of those big questions that we all have. So please feel free to ask questions there. On my Udemy channel, I used to have an X-Theme and WordPress class up for sale. I recently took that one down, still accessible to all the other Udemy students. But at this point, it's getting a little too dated. And one of the tough things when you're building your websites that I want y'all to keep in mind is there are so many different website builders out there. You got Squarespace, you can use WordPress, there's all these different tools for building websites. And whatever you choose, it's more about how you style the website, how it looks, how the content looks. When it comes to search engine optimization, though, search engine optimization is a topic no matter what kind of web builder you're using. SEO is important to whatever web builder it is. So if you're using Squarespace or you're using WordPress or you've got WP Engine like me for your own sites, SEO is going to work the same way across the board with all these platforms. So as you start building, I want you to start thinking about your content, and you'll understand why when you watch the SEO video later today. So there's that SEO video. So we'll be launching that after this video is done, and give people a few minutes to digest stuff. I don't like spamming you with multiple notifications a day if I can avoid it. But so there's been a lot of new videos up. The whole map pilot series was actually vetted by our Patreon students. So once again, thanks guys, and Matt over there, thanks to you too. I really appreciate everyone's input because we just want to keep making more classes and more tutorials for drone pilots to help you get your business going too. It's tough starting a small business, so I'm sharing as many of my own mistakes and learning lessons as I can with you so that you don't make those mistakes, and maybe you can get your business moving faster than I got mine moving. All right, everybody, I'm going to get ready to wrap it up here because I've got a couple more things to get done this morning. And we will have our regular live stream again next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Pretty soon the clocks are going to be changing, so then we'll be moving to Mountain Time. So that's going to throw a little monkey wrench in there, and I'll make sure to leave a notice on the channel about that because I like doing live streams at 8 a.m., so I'm going to keep doing them at 8 a.m. All right, everyone, have an awesome day. I'm going to get back to the client work and sending those last things out for those raw land sites. We'll see you again at latest next Monday. Who knows? Maybe I'll pop up some more videos this week. Have a great start to the week. We'll see you again soon.